Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I am Stacey Earlywine, and we are glad to be with you for another fine episode of By the Way with Beth and Stacey.
That's right. We have some fun things to talk about today.
We do some very interesting things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything we do is interesting.
Exactly. You got to watch every episode. You never know what we're going to say.
That is absolutely true. That's true.
What we're going to talk about. So
yeah, we've just been making our way through summer, and
yeah, how have you been?
I'm great. Can't complain. Mm-hmm. Gonna do a little Holiday World trip
fun.
To go a little camping. Have you ever been to Holiday World camping?
I have camped at Holiday World.
Yeah. It's really neat. That Lake Rudolph is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice. You can rent a golf cart and zoom around through the campground. And
oh yes, Jack and I. Of course, they have that golf cart parade. We've bought. I don't know. We got 2 golf carts. Of course, we're going to be doing so. One of them is going to be decorated in Hawaiian, and one of them is going to be decorated in under the sea, ocean stuff. And he just don't know. Shoot, we may be Hawaiian under the sea.
A little bit of both. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, who knows? But just muddling our way through summer, and I don't know. It seems like we've gotten some. Did we get a storm the other night or last night?
I don't know that we did last night. We might have. I don't know. I slept really good last night. I don't always sleep that good, but last night I was just like zonked. Yeah.
What was it? We had some rain come or a storm come through the other day, and it literally knocked down one of the big limbs, like in our dog. You know, somebody's like, "Oh my gosh, it was really, really rain!" Like a huge limb, Jim had to cut up, and I didn't even know it. The wind blew. Sometimes I just hit that pillow, and I've been doing like wall Pilates. And I think that makes me tired.
Oh, it probably does. That's the Pilates stuff. That's hard work. I mean, some people don't take that seriously because it looks easy, but it's hard.
It really is, and you really have to concentrate and focus on your breathing. And I don't do either one of those well. But you know, you can tell a difference. It's fun. Just this getting old is you know, for the birds. And I just find out, I mean, and I think it's straight. You know, the days of jumping, lunging, plunging, they're gone. You know, once you start knocking on your middle 50s, it's all about walking and stretching, stretch. Like you can't believe how stiff you get.
I can believe. I'm only in my 40s, and I understand that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but just fun. You know, just hanging out with the grandkids. I guess we're knocking on Fair Week. Yes. Do you do much 4-H? Do you guys do 4-H?
Well, my oldest has always done 4-H. This is her last year. She's aging out. She is 18. She can no longer be in 4-H after this year, but. My kids have always just participated in the general show. Like we like the sewing, the cooking, the baking, all of the canning, all of that thing, all of those things. And a lot of people in Clay County don't realize, like, hey, there's a whole lot more to the fair than agriculture.
See, I didn't know all this other stuff. Canning and all that stuff?
Yes, there's a show for all of that, and it's the very first Saturday before the fair actually starts. And they do floral. There's Malia. She did geology for years. She did an incredible rock collection. She did each year. It grew and grew. She took it to the state fair. She won at the state fair every year with her rock collection. She learned a whole bunch of things about geology. Alex Booth here in Flora, he helped her identify some of her rocks, the ones that we didn't even know what they were. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of different kinds of rocks out there, and eventually they all start to look alike.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and then you need somebody that's a geologist to say this is this and this is that, because she had to have it all labeled correctly.
Really?
And she collected rocks from other countries and stuff. One year for Christmas, like she asked for different rocks from different places for her collection. It's really cool. She still has it if you ever want to look at it.
I do want to look at that.
But there's so much more to the fair than just agriculture
and corn dogs
and corn dogs, which it aggravates me. I'm not gonna lie, it aggravates me a little bit that like. I don't get me wrong, the ag part is great, but everyone focuses on that and they don't even know about the other stuff. So one day in Effingham, I was shopping at a store there, a clothing store, and the lady was like, "Oh, it's Fair Week," and I'm like, "Yeah, my kids are doing Fair Week too." And she's like, "Really? What do they show?" And I'm like, "Well, they show geology, and they're showing floral, and they're showing a quilt, and they're showing." And she looked at me like I was from another planet, and she was like. It was almost like distaste, and she's like, "No, I meant like for the fair. Like, what are they showing?" I'm like, those are their projects. They've worked very hard on them all year. And she's like, "No, I'm sure but no, like for the fair." Like, what are they?
Oh, my goodness sakes.
She's like, we show goats, and then we also have sheep, and the next year we're doing pigs. I'm like, well, did you happen? And I just told her everything I just told you. And I'm like, well, did you happen to know that there's a whole lot more to the fair than just agriculture and animals? Did you happen to know that there are kids that work all year round on sewing and cooking and canning and learning about all of these things and geology and I mean, leadership and speaking and public speaking and all these things? And she had no clue. And her kids have been in 4-H for years.
You've got to be kidding me.
No. But I let her have it.
Did you let her have it?
I gave her my whole spiel. Oh, I was nice about it, but I'm like, you're in 4-H. You should know these things.
You should know all that. Yeah,
There's a lot more to it.
I never was into the 4-H whatsoever.
Yes.
But I do remember the days of, like, you know, whenever you go at our fair, when you'd go through that big building, it was just packed full of. I do remember there was a lot of kids' artwork and stuff.
Yes.
That place was just
drawing,
a really
photography. Oh my gosh, walk through there. They will display at Clay County Fair. They will display it from Saturday until Wednesday. All of these general projects, and they will be in that air conditioned room back behind. I forgot what they call that area where everyone eats, where the barbecue,
the pavilion type place.
Yes, it'll all be in an air conditioned room. And take the time to walk through there, because there are a lot of really talented kids in our community, in our county, that show. I mean, the photography alone, woodworking. Oh my gosh, these kids that are in woodworking, they build. I mean, some of these things are huge. Like they'll shelves and wooden storage units and quilt cases and all of these amazing woodworking things that look like
skills that will last a lifetime.
Skills with a Z. Skills. Yeah, they got mad skills.
They got mad skills. That's pretty cool, though.
I didn't
know all that. I miss the fairs of my past, the 70s and the 80s. I miss those fairs. They were just. It was just you were out there every single night. And I don't know what's happened. I mean, I don't know why we don't. Yeah. You know, when you walk through that barn and there was nothing there, just political things. And wonder what happened to that.
Well, I think they were afraid people were stealing stuff, maybe, because now they keep them in that other building where they can lock the door.
True.
And somebody's in there with them.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, Malia usually shows a quilt, and that would be heartbreaking if somebody stole a quilt.
Well, just the young artists that we have. My goodness, whenever the school did the art show, and you just walk through the small gym at the high school and what these kids are painting.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful, fantastic. They're amazing. And it's like I said, it seems like that kind of thing goes by the wayside unless you're an athlete or you're,
a cow.
Apparently you're showing a cow.
Not knocking the people that show cows or horses.
Cows are good.
Or
cows, pigs, chicken.
Or whatever. That's
mighty
great
tasty.
Too. That's great too. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, I wish people would realize there's more.
I love that, though.
At the fair.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Take your kids into the building to see all the general projects.
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. Well, now maybe people will go do that.
I hope
Little plug for the fair.
So.
There we go. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about the fair is the horseflies.
Oh,
and they will be making their way. We do not like the horseflies. So,
what are you going to show us today?
Okay.
We always start off with an ad or a catalog picture or something from the past. So
Vicki Campbell gave me this catalog at church, and it's an Alden Spring and Summer catalog 1960. I've used it on, this is like the 4th episode. I'm going to put it back for a while and bring out some magazines, and then we'll kind of just revisit it. But there's just so many fascinating things. So here's our little catalog. Whoops. In case you guys haven't seen it. It's an Alden's. Alden's was apparently a big department store. 1960. We've talked about how cute this little lady is with her hat and her gloves and her umbrella. Super cool. And 1960, you could buy everything in this place, from a rocking horse to a boat to brassieres, shoes, men's fashions. I mean, it's just
anything you needed.
Anything you needed came out of this. And where's this from? Alden's, Chicago. So some Chicago people may know. Lamps. But what today? There's times I love
appliances.
The past.
Let's talk appliances.
I love the past. I love the 50s. I love this catalog's from the 1920s and all that stuff. But there are some times that I am really glad that I live in a modern world, and one of them is when it comes to laundry. I don't know why it bothers me, because I'm just going to confess, Jim does the laundry in our house. He's done the laundry in our house for years. I did it. He doesn't remember a time when I used to do it, when the boys were little. I did all the laundry, but he does it all for me now. But this washing machine, Tiger, what in the heck? See, what is happening here?
It looks like this. R2D2 or something.
It does. I mean, it's like a flex flow hose, finest rings, lint guard, and an electric timer. The Super Regent. Where would you even put? What is happening here? I mean, I don't even know where you'd put your clothes in at.
I think the lid lifts and you shove them in there like in a tub.
So it makes you wonder like that, like, are you wringing the clothes out? Or is that, I bet they didn't spin.
No.
At the time. So I wonder if you put them in there and wash them.
Now, I know there's people listening to us and they're dying laughing right now because we don't know what we're looking at. And they're like, we remember those. My mother had one of those or whatever. But I like at the bottom there's, different, basically the same thing, but you can get good, better, best.
Right.
The economy.
Custom good economy.
Yeah, economy $79.95. The good one $99.95, or the custom one $129.95.
Yeah, it's like the Super Regent, the $139.95 at the top. Alden's finest 10-pound capacity, no rinse tub washer, $189.99 value, but you save $50 off of it. Yeah. Use in the kitchen if you're short on space. Two-way hose lets you fill washer at sink, then empty down the drain. Double wall keeps water hot. I bet you have to. But it's got.
You still have to hook it up to your kitchen sink.
I don't have any idea. But I keep looking at this and keep looking at this, and I don't. But you notice it's literally an Alden's. So Alden's must have manufactured those.
So here's a question. When they sold something big out of that catalog, like a washer or furniture, they shipped it to you? Or did you have to go pick it up in person?
Oh,
that's a lot of weight to ship.
In the 1920s?
This is 1960.
1960? Yeah. Why am I thinking 20s?
I don't know.
The 60s. I'm stuck in that. Yeah. Did they? Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot to ship. But maybe they did. They probably put it on a truck and drove it to you in a delivery vehicle. Then they probably set it up for you.
Probably. I bet these things were tanks, too. I bet they lasted.
Yeah.
All washers on page use a 110 to 120 volts AC.
Okay.
I just think it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know. I need to watch a YouTube video on how they washed clothes in those types of washers.
Yeah. None of it makes sense to me.
Interesting.
Finest rings.
But those are cheap washers. Because washers today, more like $1,000 if you need to buy. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, there are some that are probably like $700. But I think the one I bought was $1,000.
Oh, my gosh. Jim made the most horrible comment the other day. He said, oh, Stacey, I don't know. I think our refrigerator's making a funny noise. I said, don't speak it. Don't speak it. No. No, but
appliances are so expensive.
Appliances are expensive, and but how you pay for appliances, you show commercials. That's how you sell them, too. So we're going to take a quick commercial break.
We'll be back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we have a good show planned.
It is a good show, an interesting show.
An interesting one, one that's important, I think, to Clay County. But we're going to talk about the history of the Clay County Hospital.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there, and not everyone thinks about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just drive by the new hospital today, and you just think that's the hospital.
That's just the hospital.
There's a lot going on to get us to where we are today.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the very first hospital in Flora was built in 1877.
1877.
Which we know that Flora came into being at like 1854, which makes me wonder, I guess during those years they didn't really have a hospital. They probably had a doctor's office, but there wasn't really a hospital.
Barber.
Yeah, they had a barber. Remember that? Barbers did it all.
Barbers did it all. Cut your hair.
Yes.
Fix your toe. Yeah, barbers did it all. Yeah, so 54, what, 77?
77.
So what's that, 23 years?
Mm-hmm. So a man by the name of Dr. George W. Campbell was the one that decided to open the Flora Hospital. He kind of brought it to Flora. And the very first hospital was located on North Main and 10th Street. And it kind of looked like a house. I think we have a picture or two of this, but look how beautiful that is.
Why is that gone?
Well, it's probably falling down, but...
Oh, but look at that entrance.
Yeah, and the gingerbread trim around the porch, and can't you just imagine some patient going out there on that top porch to get a breath of fresh air?
Oh, my gosh.
And
there's like two little side porches.
Yeah, and the back had some kind of arbor or something back there. I mean, that's a beautiful building. And
that is beautiful.
And then the archway with the Flora Hospital. I mean, that was right there on Main Street and 10th Street. So this is right around the place where Electric is today.
Yes.
And
that is pretty cool.
Yes.
I've never seen this picture. That is fantastic, and I'm very sad that it's not there
and
now.
And that's back when they still did this in the 80s, the 1980s, but where they painted the bottom of trees white.
Yeah, what was the purpose of that?
I always thought it had something to do with bugs, but I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if it was bugs.
But that just is a little bit of nostalgia right there for me, is the white. We can look that up about why they painted bottoms of trees white. But that is a beautiful picture of our first hospital.
Oh, yeah, I am so sad.
And it said that Dr. Campbell was both the physician and the surgeon, and he moved here from Gary, Indiana. He selected Flora because he thought it was bright future, great place. But the doctor, he lived down the street in the upstairs suite of the P.A. Meyer building. But,
down the street?
I
was
think
the Meyer
was
building on
downtown.
North Main?
I think so. No, I think it was maybe on. It was either where the Valbert building is now, or not the Valbert, the Vaughn building is now, or it was on one of those. It might have been one of the corner buildings.
The Vaughn building had a lot of really neat stores and stuff in it.
Yes,
I think that is where I remember, because I've been doing a little research on that one. I think you're right.
The P.A. Meyer building. It was on one of those corners down there. But anyway, that hospital included a surgery room, a bathroom, a private office, and 2 hospital rooms.
Wow.
So, and I would guess downstairs was probably a kitchen and dining room area and stuff.
Right.
But, so within the first week after they opened that hospital, Dr. Campbell purchased an x-ray machine, which I thought was interesting because I didn't realize x-ray went back all the way to 1877.
I didn't either.
Did you?
No.
He had to go to St. Louis to get it. And then after that, x-ray pictures were taken for the first time in Flora. He performed an operation for appendicitis on Virgil Lucas. He treated Mrs. L.N. Coburn of Sisney, and he delivered a baby boy to Mr. and Mrs. Orville Logan, and that was all within the first week.
My goodness.
Yes, and then they had a grand opening, and guess how many people attended?
37.
1,500.
1,500?
1,500 people. 1,500 people came to that grand opening in 1877. That is a lot of people.
That's a lot of
for
people.
Back then.
Yeah.
Just think about, like, when we have an event, like, it's even the cemetery tour, that over 1,000 people come to that.
Big one, yeah.
But that would be like the people that are there throughout the 3 or 4 hours that they stand in line or whatever, but all at once. That's just and plus that's just a lot. Of
well, yeah,
because
when any events that happen today, you're lucky to get 200 or 300 people coming out.
Yeah. So that was 1877 is when it was built, and I think do we have another picture, Ty, of that from a different angle, maybe? Yeah.
Oh, what happened to that sign?
I don't know. I would love to know where that sign went. But isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful.
So, and you can leave that up for just a second. But in 1931, so we're skipping ahead a little ways here. It was time for the hospital to be remodeled. So, close to 50 years had went by, and time to remodel. The hospital closed for several months. So, Dr. Campbell moved his practice downtown, and then he gave, I don't really know what happened, but he gave the interest of the hospital to Dr. Harvey Fehrenbacher of Olney.
Okay.
And Dr. Fehrenbacher had been with the Olney Sanitarium for 13 years before coming to Flora. So anyway, this hospital reopened formally in 1931, and at that time it had an 18-bed capacity.
Right.
And its own kitchen and laundry facilities.
Well, you got to take into consideration.
So 18 beds in that building.
In this house. I mean, because it's a 2-story home, there's just the steep staircases in there. So really, for it to be a hospital, sick people, I mean.
Nobody had a private room
Nobody
back then,
had a private room back then, and just getting up and down the stairs. But that's impressive that it was there for how many years?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, and I'll get to when it closed. But and then the doctor's wife, Mrs. Fehrenbacher, she helped with the managing of it all, and like she worked inside and did a bunch of stuff too. So that was kind of neat. But when it closed, its actual last year of operation was 1936.
Really?
But I think it said during World War II, Dr. Dillman was called into the service, and the hospital help became almost impossible to find. So from that point on, the hospital suffered difficult times. So some considered the last year of operation to be 36 before the war hit.
Right.
Because I guess as soon as the war hit, everyone was gone, and it was just really hard to operate. But it says it closed permanently in August of 1943.
Yeah, if you think about the time of all that happening, I mean, that is when that war hit and men just left. That's when women, it's where. Actually, I believe that during that war, the only good thing that came out of the war was then women saw their worth and their power. Because then women stepped up into the manufacturing, did the health care and stuff like that.
They tore that beautiful building down in June of 1979. So it was starting to be the 80s. I'm telling you, the 70s and 80s, they tore everything down.
They did.
If it was old, they wanted new, they wanted modern, they got rid of it.
Well, how old would I have been? How do I not remember that building?
I'll tell you how old I was in June of 1979.
You weren't born?
No, I was about 6 months old.
Yeah.
5.
Well, I was 12. How do I not remember that building? But yeah, I just get...
It was probably dilapidated, and you probably had no interest in it. It was probably just a dirty old white house that you drove by and didn't think anything about it.
Yeah,
because it wasn't. I mean,
it's almost nothing makes me angrier than when old houses are.
I know
it makes me angry.
How do you get Beth and Stacey fired up? You tell them that you tore down a house.
Yeah, I know.
That'll get us every time.
Yeah, my family even did it over in Clay City when I to that house. I'll talk about that. Hopefully, I still got some living relatives. We might end up as the Hatfields and McCoys by the time I get.
Oh no.
Yeah, it just makes me angry. Yeah. Those homes were built solid. There's no reason why they should be gone. And then everything that was built in the 70s and 80s, not good.
Yeah, no, ugly.
Ugly. And not good.
Do you think there'll be a time like in 50 years, 100 years from now, or somebody looks back and they're like, oh, that's the 1980s architecture. I love it. Do you think that'll happen? Or do you think they'll look back and they'll be like, 1980s?
Those people were sick. Yeah. I don't know, because my house was built like in the 30s, and then the back house was built in the 70s. From what they did in the 30s, the front of my house is solid as a rock. You can't hear anything. Everything that was done in the late 70s is just like, geez, it's freezing back here. You can hear everything. Yeah, there's just big difference. Big difference. Okay, soapbox over. Keep going.
Okay, let's keep going. Then we're going to talk about the second hospital in Flora, which many of you will remember. Probably almost everybody, unless you're just very young.
I think so.
So in 1947, the Public Health in Illinois received an appropriation of $6.7 million to build and operate tuberculosis sanatoria. So they're going to build TB hospitals. Apparently there's money out there. And after a survey by the department to determine areas of the state with hospital needs, communities were identified as eligible for federal and state grants, equal to 2/3 the cost of the construction of the hospital. So apparently Clay County got this grant, and it paid for 2/3 of the cost of building the hospital. So the very first one to start construction was Clay County Hospital, and the groundbreaking was held on Friday, June 11th of 1948, and that was on the area of East 7th and Mill Street. So many of you will know. Okay, so they started construction in 48.
Yep.
And when did I say that other one was the last?
You said.
Let me find that sheet of paper.
Well, you said they closed in 1936.
Mm-hmm. That
was the actual house that closed.
Yeah, it closed permanently in August of 43. I'm wondering what they did for 3 years, because it closed permanently in 43, and this one wasn't started until 47. How do you go that many years without a hospital?
They probably just doctors. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. And I am going to talk a little bit about what was done at the doctor's offices here in a minute, because I have a story about that. But okay, so the East 7th and Mill Street, all of us know now there's an empty lot there, and that's what everyone calls the old hospital lot. Yeah. I mean, that's where it was.
That's what it was.
But so
it wasn't a big place.
Before the hospital was completed in 1950, so it wasn't even completed until 1950. So they went several years without a hospital. There was a serious money shortage in 1949.
What?
Retro.
Who knew?
Yeah, Flora, true to the tradition of her illustrious history.
I love these great writers.
Led a county-wide campaign to raise the funds necessary to save the hospital. So they needed to raise extra money. Apparently, I don't know if the grant fell through or the 1/3 of that we had to pay wasn't there. But a huge crowd, estimated at 10,000 people, attended the dedication of the new hospital on March the 12th of 1950. 10,000. So I was just talking about how there was I was talking about how there was 1,500, and now this
10,000.
They brought 10,000. They didn't all live here. It's never, our population's never been that high.
But even if you add up Clay County's population, it's never been that high, has it?
I don't countywide. I don't know if it ever reached 10,000 in our county.
Oh, Ty.
Yeah.
Countywide population of Clay County.
Let's also, here in a second, we'll show a picture of the hospital I'm talking about on East 7th and Mill. Many of you will remember it.
Yeah, you do. You remember that
one.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I remember. I have some stories about it. But
I do. I have some.
Yeah, so 10,000 people. I wonder if, people from other communities came over.
It would have had to have been.
Albany, Salem, Effingham. I mean, it sounds like a really big deal. I wonder if they were giving away really good prizes or something.
I don't know.
Why?
According to 2020, the countywide is 13,000.
Okay, so
2020 right now it's 13,000.
I wonder what it was in 1950.
Interesting.
But okay, let's see a picture of this hospital. Yeah, so that's the hospital we all know and some love.
That's the most dreaded driveway you would ever go down in your life.
That big circle driveway. Front, and you would go you'd go right in those front center doors, and you'd be in a lobby.
Gosh, I can almost even smell it right now.
You'd be in a lobby,
see the lobby,
and there would be somebody there greeting you to tell you which way to go, and then you went forward, and then there was hallways to go down.
The most fantastic doctors: Dr. Naney, Dr. Lukey, Dr. Buttle, Dr. Cycle.
We're going to talk a little bit about them.
Loved all them.
So this was an ultra-modern facility, and it was fireproof and modern in every respect.
I can only imagine.
It was built with 2 isolation rooms. Okay, scary. Those for the crazy people. I don't know.
I guess.
16 obstetrical beds, so 16 OB beds, which is actually quite a bit. 24 medical and surgical rooms, and 2 4-bed wards. So this actually had a lot of beds in it compared to our current hospital, which doesn't have that many beds.
No, it doesn't have that. But, we don't have an OB unit. And back in the day, the OB ward would have been, because you didn't have to be a gynecologist or a baby doctor. You could just
be a regular doctor.
Because Dr. Bunnell, all those guys delivered babies. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The patients were all on a single floor, with the OB patients were segregated. So they had their own wing. The babies were on their own wing. The doors to the hospital were scheduled to accept patients on March the 20th, 1950. However, this is kind of cool. The opening had to be moved up several hours. The stork arrived with a package later named William George Seelman We all may know Bill
Stillman.
From here in Flora, to a hastily gathered staff headed by Dr. E.D. Foss. So Dr. Foss delivered Bill Stillman, and it caused a delay in the grand
that's the
opening.
Greatest thing ever.
Yes, isn't that cool?
That is awesome.
Yes. So my dad was also born in 1950.
Oh my gosh, what's our time?
Yeah, we need to stop and take a. Yeah, we're
over.
A commercial.
I'll take a commercial.
We'll be back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online banking, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be. Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
It's the weekend and your symptoms are worsening. The morning of a big meeting and you have a bigger sore throat. Ever experienced that urgency after picking up your sick child and your community health center has already closed? You will be able to connect to a provider at crhpc.org. Even if you have never been to CRHPC, you are welcome to utilize our services. Feel better after scheduling a video visit with CRHPC.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about the history of the Clay County Hospital.
So fascinating, we lost track of time.
We did, but okay, so we had our commercial break. Earlier we were talking about how many people attended the grand opening.
Yes, 10,000.
And it was 10,000, which we thought was large because we didn't expect our county population to be that big. But in 1950, our population in Clay County was 17,000.
17,000. So, and in 2020, 15,000.
Yeah.
So it's really only a loss of 2020. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people move out and come back. We need to get back to this story because it's crazy.
So the grand opening was delayed because Dr. Foss had to deliver Bill
Stillman.
Okay. My dad, though, was also born in 1950, but my grandma knew that the hospital was being built, but she did not want to deliver there. She had her first baby at home, and she was terrified to deliver a baby in the hospital. She didn't want to. And so Dr. Foss, my dad was born in October of 1950, and Dr. Foss had always been delivering the babies in his office. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
His office was this little tiny building, and I think it's still there. It sits right next to where Dr. Marley's office is now on West 2nd. It's a little white building. That was Dr. Foss's office, and that is the building that my dad was born in because my grandma did not want to deliver at the hospital. But Dr. Foss was he was only allowed to deliver babies in his office for the final month was October of 1950. And after that point, he had to stop delivering babies there, and he was required to start delivering them all at the hospital.
At the hospital.
But my grandma...
I wonder why.
Some kind of rule that they made, I guess, and maybe it was easier for him to have them all in one place. But my grandma made sure, like, she had my dad, and she begged Dr. Foss, please let me deliver at your office. And she thinks that my dad was the last baby born at Dr. Foss's office because... Bill was born in March, so that was towards the beginning of 1950. My dad didn't come until later on in the year, and so babies were being born at the hospital, but Grandma didn't want to deliver there. So she talked him into delivering Dad at the office.
Speaking of babies, do we have any pictures of children born at the hospital?
We do. We have. Let's see. Can you pull up? I think there's a picture of twins.
Oh my!
Look at this old picture. Let me see if I can. To tell you,
Do you know who the babies are?
I don't think we could tell. We didn't know the babies' names, and we're not sure of this nurse either.
Well, it's hard. I mean, how do you know who's who?
Twins. Yeah. Well, the hospital may have this on file somewhere. I asked a few people, asked around, and I was able to. Some of the pictures I'm going to show you today, I have been able to identify people in, but not all of them, and this is one that I didn't. But we also have a picture of the OB unit.
Oh, yeah.
There at the hospital.
Look.
And yikes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yikes.
Holy mother of pearl.
Yes, so this was the...
Look at that horrible... what table?
Yeah, you are on a very hard, flat metal table to deliver a baby. Now,
wow.
A lot of women probably delivered their babies there. I delivered my babies in a bed that was much softer than that. This looks like terrifying.
That's terrifying.
And back then, women had babies young, so the baby, like it wasn't uncommon for you to deliver a baby when you were 17, 18, 19 years old. And I'm thinking of these young girls walking into that delivery room.
I would die. Because it literally looks like the things on the side are for your legs.
Yeah.
What's that big black? Is that like something for you to hold on to? What's that big black thing at this end? What is that?
I think that's for you to hold on to.
Oh,
while
my
you're
Lanta.
Grip that and push.
Well, I had C-section, so yikes.
So that is slightly...
And there's not much of a pad on that thing.
Slightly terrifying. Yes. And then there's another picture of the nursery at the old hospital. Like, aw.
I mean, everything's just so, of course, is it because it's so new? I mean, everything just looks, I mean, now nurseries are adorable. And that's just pretty
It's all very sterile.
It's very sterile.
And I can kind of understand why my grandma didn't want to have my dad there. And back to the story about him being born, she went there, had him, and then Dr. Foss put her in an ambulance 3 hours later and sent her home with her baby. But he had the ambulance driver home and drop her off.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember a time of seeing nurses dressed like nurses like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of, not going to lie, I kind of like nurses being in their cute scrubs and looking like me and you coming in. I remember the days of the nurses all in white and their little hats.
Yeah, it's a little bit more...
It's a little bit more...
scary. I don't know. Maybe just because we're not used to it.
Probably not.
So
Jan Phillips and Norma Stanford were both nurses, and they would always talk about the nursing days.
Let's look at this next picture, Ty. This is a picture of the whole entire staff at the Clay County Hospital, and we're guessing that this picture was probably in the late 50s, early 60s. I had Eileen Enlow sat down with me this week and helped me identify some of the people in this photo. So we're going to go through some names.
Let's do some names.
Some of you may be looking for your loved one or your mother or father that worked there at this time, and maybe you can spot them. I'm not going to be able to name everyone, but I'm just going to go through a few because I personally could only, when I looked at this picture, I could only name one person out of the whole group that I knew personally, and that was Arlene Maddox. And she is on the far left, about the third row down from the top, not counting that man that's back there in his own little row. She's looking directly at the camera. She has curly hair and the bangs, and her hat's kind of tilted back.
Yeah, that's Arlene.
That's Arlene Maddox. Arlene Maddox was my across-the-street neighbor for about the first 15 years that we lived in our house, and her husband, Gerald. And she was a cool little lady. She didn't stand very tall. I bet she was only like 4'11" or so. Just a tiny little thing. But
I'm assuming this is the entire everybody that's working.
What we think is the entire staff.
Yeah, because it looks like you've got cooks and
we do. So starting, let's just go through some. So on the front row, on the row one, the very front, Charlotte McKnight, I think, is the lady there on the far left, and she was the head of the lab.
Okay.
And then next to her was the nurse anesthetist. And I think I don't think, but Eileen thinks that her last name was Huffines, but we couldn't remember much about her. Okay, so that was the only two on the front row that we knew. Row two has Alice Cochran. She was an LPN. And then kind of to her right was Mona Baker. She's the one with glasses.
Right.
She was an RN. Then there's also Joyce Powell, and I might be skipping over a few because I don't remember which one was Joyce, but Joyce Powell is in the laundry, so we got the laundry room represented there. Opal Welty, I have written down. She's the third from the right in that row, and she was dietary, along with Marge Thompson, who's standing to her left. She was also dietary. Row 3, Arlene Maddox. I'm kind of considering her row 3 to 4. It was kind of hard. They were a little. I think they were on steps. Mm-hmm. But Arlene was the director of nursing, and she was head of the OB department. She was director of nursing for a little bit. I don't know the whole time, but she was the head of the OB department. So if you delivered a baby at Clay County Hospital, you probably dealt with Arlene. And I think that she was a get it done kind of person and real. Like
drill sergeant almost.
I think she probably could be.
Probably.
And then there is Annie Ethington Krutzinger. She was the OR supervisor. And I think that was who was standing right next to Arlene.
It's really
with
hard
the nurse's hat. Yeah. And then the fourth one over from Arlene is the Pauline Buffington. She was also in OB. Then we're going to row 4. We're going to go over to the right, the far right from the top, and that was Ronnie Thompson. He was in maintenance. And then the third from the right was Paul Huey. He was also in maintenance. That would be David Huey's dad. And if you look at him, he kind of looks like David Huey back there. If any of you know David, that used to, him and his wife Paula ran the NMN
absolutely,
Club.
Yeah.
So he's the third from the right on the top row there. Grace Mix, she was in the center back. She was an aide, and then Wilma Byers, she was the 6th from the left on the top. She was an aide.
Do we know
that was about it.
Which doctors are in this picture?
Yeah, I don't know that any of the doctors are in this picture.
They may not be in this picture. Cool.
No, we do have a cafeteria picture. We'll look at that one next. This is the cafeteria in this hospital was located in the basement. Look at those block walls. Many of you will remember those block walls. My grandma worked in dietary there. She graduated. She retired from there in 1998, I believe. But yeah, I can remember going down in the same room to visit with grandma while she was at work.
Well,
Eileen Inlow's sitting in the very far back there. You can't really see her whole face. She has her nurse's hat on, and she's kind of facing away from the camera. Dr. Foss is in this picture. He is sitting way at the back of the room against the wall. His face is towards the camera. He has on a suit jacket with a white shirt underneath, and he's kind of got his chin in his hand.
Chin is his hand. The only thing I remember I don't remember the cafeteria in the basement, but the lab was in the basement, the morgue was in the basement, and the cafeteria. I think that was all that was in the basement at the time, wasn't it?
Then the other person identified in this picture was Al Eubinger. He's the one standing up. That's who we think it is. He was an administrator.
He's got everybody's attention.
Yes.
So this must be a meeting.
Yeah, maybe some kind of meeting or something. Everyone's looking over at him. So
how neat is that?
Yeah.
It's neat that they kept these pictures.
Yeah. So let me see here. What's in my notes?
We got 20 seconds for commercial break,
okay.
babe.
Well, then let's just go ahead and take our commercial, and then we'll be right back, and we'll go through some more of this.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Pegel's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Pegel Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
The insurance specialists have options to tailor to your needs at CSI Insurance Brokers. Experienced insurance brokers at CSI are skilled with all types of insurance plans and policies and represent many companies, including Safeco Insurance. You'll benefit from their detailed expertise, unbeatable premiums, and commitment to customer service. CSI Insurance Brokers and Safeco Insurance Company, providing affordable rates on quality insurance since 1952.
For over 50 years, at your locally owned and operated Royal King Supply in Salem and Olney, we've helped you and your neighbors enjoy an easy country lifestyle. We carry the most thorough sporting goods department around with a huge variety of hunting and fishing gear, camping equipment, and a variety of firearms for any need. Our team is here to help you find whatever you need. Open every day, it's Royal King in Salem and Olney, your locally owned farm and home store.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and we are talking about the days of the Clay County Hospital.
We are. So, talking about the hospital in the early 1960s, this is a list of the doctors that were there. Dr. Bunnell.
Yeah.
We all remember him. He passed away recently, and we all love Dr. Bunnell. Mm-hmm. Dr. Dillman. And an interesting note about Dillman is he served there for 40 years, both as a physician and delivered thousands of babies in Flora, and he was the chief of staff, and he retired in 65.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Dr. Naney.
Oh, my dad thought Dr. Naney was the right hand of God.
Okay. Dr. Foss, who we identified in that last picture.
Dr. Foss, yep.
He delivered a lot of babies too. Dr. Hutchins. I'm not familiar with him. One. Dr. Phillips. Dr. Doherty.
That sounds familiar.
And then there was a surgeon named Bill Camp. They didn't list him as Dr. Camp. They just list him as Bill Camp.
And he's a surgeon.
I hope he was a doctor, too. I don't know. Maybe back then to be a surgeon, you didn't have to be a doctor.
He was probably a barber.
A barber. This was only in the 60s. I don't know. Okay, so we have a whole lot more pictures. So some of you may have seen these pictures. A lot of them are hanging in, probably all of them are hanging in the hallways at the current Clay County Hospital. So if you've ever roamed the halls there and seen these pictures, this is where I got these. So let's see what we have here. This
looks like an X-ray machine.
This is an X-ray machine. This is one of the first X-ray machines there.
Once again, a super hard surface.
Yep.
If you're in a lot of pain, that's not the table you want to be on.
Nope. And that's just how it was, and that's the only one they had, and you just did it.
Operating room.
Yeah. So this, okay.
Wow.
This operating room, we could only identify one of the ladies, and that's the one. The second one from the left is Annie Ethington Krutzinger. She was the head of the operating room. And, I mean, it does look very sterile.
It is. Everything is, isn't it? Look at that floor shine.
Uh-huh. And they are all very clean and in their white. Mm-hmm. But still, that bed is just so tiny.
It is.
Okay. Okay, this is the lab. So this is the basement. Again,
the dreaded
you see
lab.
those stone brick walls or whatever they were made out of. This is Eunice Venable. Eunice worked in the lab. I think she was head over the lab. Eunice Venable. So that's a cool old picture. This is, this room was medical records maybe? I don't remember.
It looks more, it's got to be the office.
Yeah. But we don't have... we don't know who these two are.
Yeah, because look at the charts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, don't know who these two are, but they are working away. So that's a cool old picture. Now, here's some maintenance guys. Wow, look at the size of that boiler back there. Wow. So this is the boiler that heated and ran the whole place, but that is a huge boiler.
Do you know who the men are?
Yes, I do.
I know. When you say the names, it's going to be...
Okay, so Ronnie Thompson is there on the far left.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one we think is a Burgess, but Eileen couldn't think of his name, and I didn't know. Okay, and then the next one is Paul Huey. Again, you can see the resemblance to Dave Huey in that picture. And then the young man there, we think maybe an apprentice or something, but we don't know who that is. So maybe one of our viewers might know some of these men and remember things about them, but that was the maintenance crew. So kind of cool that they took a picture of them, too, when they're going around taking pictures, because every job, no matter what it is
everything's important.
This is a pinning ceremony here for a candy striper. So candy stripers were kind of something that all hospitals had, and basically they were young people that worked as a candy striper. It was kind of like a CNA.
I was going to say a CNA
you
today.
went in and helped, but they wore these striped little aprons over their uniform. So this is a pinning ceremony. That's my neighbor, Arlene Maddox, there on the right doing the pinning. And that's the only one in that picture that we know. But I would suspect that maybe that is that young girl's parents, maybe there with her.
I wonder who the lady on the far left is.
I don't know. And let's talk about her dress for a minute. Are those dachshunds all over her dress? Little dachshund puppy dogs?
It looks like puppies.
Or what is it? What is it?
It looks like animals. It's definitely animals.
I don't know her, but I like her.
I like her.
I don't know her, but I like her.
I do too. I think it's dogs.
Yeah.
It's animals of some sort.
Uh-huh.
We'll have to take a closer look at that picture.
And yeah, I wish that I could find that dress. I would wear it.
Ah, there's Eileen.
And yes, and here's Eileen Inlow Cockleasure now. I keep calling her Eileen Inlow because she was for years, but her last name is Cockleasure now. She lives near me too, and she was a nurse there for years and years, and she is a sweetheart, and she was able to help identify some of these people in these pictures. So, okay. And then the next one, this was her husband, Joe Inlow.
Yeah.
He's passed away. He's been gone for several years now, but Joe worked in the lab.
A bag of blood.
He's got a bag of blood right there. I don't know if it's positive or negative, but he is doing his thing. And so that was Joe Inlow.
That's pretty neat. I recognize that photo right off the bat. You can definitely tell.
Huh?
Yep.
Yep. So I think that may be all of the
pictures.
All
of our pictures.
Yeah. So going back, going back to the hospital, they had a big 20th anniversary party in 1970, and a lot of those doctors by 1980, all of them were gone except Dr. Bunnell, Dr. Naney, and Dr. Cycle.
Yeah.
But in 1981, my personal favorite doctor, Dr. Galen Luking, came on board.
Yes.
And there is a picture of the hospital of Dr. Luking. I think it may be at the clinic, but I didn't get a copy of it.
I think it is at the clinic.
Yeah. And then Dr. Mitch Kraynak. He became on call at the
Dr. Fred Cycle was my doctor, and I love Dr. Fred. And I would have delivered at Flora, but the year I got pregnant with Mac, Dr. Cycle decided to quit delivering babies at the hospital, so I had to go over. Dr. Hatton delivered my babies over in Onley. But yeah, I was a big fan of Dr. Of course, we all love Dr. Bunnell, and I love Dr. Cycle. I never did see Dr. Luking.
I love Dr. Luking.
I just love Dr. Luking as a person.
I did too.
I cut Dr. Luking's hair, and he was fantastic.
I worked for Dr. Cycle and Dr. Luking for a while.
You
I
did?
Yes, I did. I worked at Clay Medical in the late 90s at the front desk, and there were several doctors there at that time, but Dr. Cycle was there, and so was Dr. Luking.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Well, so then we know that time changes, and then we have to move on. And in 1992, planning began for building a replacement facility. Groundbreaking for the new hospital was held on March 17th, 1998, followed by a flurry of bond sales. Isn't that something? So I didn't realize, I guess that new hospital, I guess you just lose track of time.
Yeah.
Construction began on the building on June of 1998. So now we're talking about the hospital that's actually that everybody living today would know. So it's actually, I think it's quite impressive we've had just the 3 hospitals.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
On October 22nd, 2000, an open house was held to show off the new 45,000 square foot facility to an estimated 1,000 visitors. So just listen to,
Oh, wow. So they only had 1,000 people that came out for that grand opening, whereas when the other one opened, 10,000
10,000.
So now we're back to the same amount of people,
Yeah.
even less people than came in 1877, because at that first grand opening, they had 1,500.
Yeah.
Clay County, you didn't turn out very well for that new hospital.
Yeah, not for the new hospital.
Yeah.
And now there's even, they're building on more. They're building on a big pharmacy now.
Yeah.
Well, the president at the time was Tony Schwarm, and he stated that the standards for hospital care have changed. Boy, have they changed.
They for sure have.
Wow. I don't think for the better. I don't think hospital care has changed for the better. I like the old ways better.
Yeah.
I like my doctors the way they were at the time. And
A lot more accessible.
A lot more accessible. Schwarm said the community had looked at remodeling the current facility, meaning the old facility that Beth just showed the pictures of, but the cost would have matched the amount of building a new hospital. So you either remodel the old hospital or you build brand new, which makes sense.
And I'm not always for tearing things down, but that other hospital totally creeped me out. So I'm fine. In that case, I'm fine with them tearing that one down.
Oh, it made
it
it
was
great.
Creepy.
I did remember they did turn it into a haunted house, which was fantastic. Did you go through it?
No.
They turned the old hospital into a haunted house for a couple of years. It was great.
No.
I, on the other hand, think the building should still be there, but that's just me. Schwarm, because it wasn't going anywhere. It was concrete and blocks and everything.
Well, right, yeah. It was a good storm shelter.
The county board community stood behind the project. It was a huge investment. And then the Clay County Chief Operating Officer at the time was Susan Batchelor. And so that's when so the early 2000s. The official opening was February 21st, 2000. The hospital managed under the direction of BJC Health System, and they helped design the facility to be flexible and to meet the needs of healthcare today and, more importantly, in the future. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the way. One thing, I'm just going to be perfectly honest. One thing that I don't like about the hospital is I don't like the way they have to just step around people. It's like, oh, you're not staying at a Hilton. Mm-hmm. I remember being in the hospital one time, the new hospital, walking around. It was like, oh, if you had a good stay here, please put a star here. Mm-hmm. How was your visit? It's like you're sick. Nobody likes it.
Well, right, but I think they have to do that to continue to get money from the government. Like they have to be rated. They have to have good ratings. Yeah.
So sometimes I wonder, though, in that aspect, if you just have to pussyfoot around everybody, it's like, oh, well, we want to make sure you had a pleasant experience. Yeah, no. I just don't want to die.
Yeah.
Just heal me. I don't care. But I don't like the way that, and that's once again. Nothing the local hospital can. You're right. It's big government. But I remember coming down the hallway in the emergency room, and one of the workers was there, and I knew her, and I said, "Hey," and I said, "How are you doing?" She said, "Good." I said, "I'm confused by these signs. Am I staying at a Hilton, or am I here to get healthy?" And I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I don't like that. I like the old personable doctors. I like that, and I don't like the way, because if somebody's sick or they're doing things that make themselves unhealthy, a doctor should be able to say, you need to drop about 50 pounds.
Right.
You need to take a bath. You're not clean. But my God, if you said that today to somebody, they'd lose their mind and sue you.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Probably.
I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know. I just think healthcare's completely changed. And sometimes
even people in healthcare, I think, would tell you that. It's a totally different ballgame than it used to be.
It is. And I don't really feel like it's respected like it used to be. And those nurses, my gosh,
they work their tails
off. A good nurse
off.
will make or break it. And I tell you what, them nurses are a group, a force to be reckoned with.
Yes, they
are fantastic. And that's one thing I will say about Clay County Hospital. Back in the past and today, I think we've always been fortunate enough to have great doctors.
Oh, yeah. Great doctors and great nurses.
And the best nurses. I've never been out there where I've ever been disrespected or given good care. I mean, I just think they're great people.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine. Both my sisters worked in the health field, and I can't imagine doing it now. Yeah. And it seems like COVID ruined everything.
Yeah, it did. Let's not talk about that. Well,
yeah.
We always end our show with a rule to live by. What do we got today? What are we going to talk about?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's see. Which one did I want to do? Okay, this one's kind of a neat thing. It says, it's by H. Jackson Brown Jr. Seek opportunity, not security. A boat in a harbor is safe, but in time, its bottom will rot out.
Ooh, take some chances in life.
Take some chances. If you just sit there security, your bottom's going to rot.
Yeah, that's good.
That is a good one.
Some people play it too safe, but there's a
happy
too
medium.
Risky. You got to find that happy medium.
There's a happy medium.
Struggle of life.
It really is. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit. I think it goes both ways, but you can't just sit idle. You got to move.
Yep. Take those chances. Get out there and live a little.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's so.
Well, this was a fun show.
I liked this show.
Talking about the hospital. I loved all those old pictures.
I did love the old pictures, and I love revisiting our old doctors who, unfortunately, they're all of those doctors are gone now. They were wonderful men, and kudos to Clay County Hospital.
So thank you, Clay County Hospital, for all of the care through the years.
And praise God, we've got that hospital.
Oh, absolutely. We're lucky to have it.
We are very lucky to have that. It's a great hospital, great people.
So thank you all for joining us. It was a good show.
All right.
See you next time.
God bless you. Have a good day.